Evolito, our vision is to be the world's leading supplier of electric propulsion and generation solutions for the aerospace industry. Evolito, as Joy said, was actually a spin-out from YASA. YASA was a spin-out from Oxford University in 2009. I joined them as about the 12th employee in about 2011. Crazy business plan, tried to avoid going nowhere near automotive. We ended up in automotive. First big deal was selling our motors into a hybrid vehicle for McLaren, and then we won Ferrari, and then we won Lamborghini, and then we won AMG Mercedes. Along that journey, we raised about 50 million in equity from lots of different people, lots of startup, early stage, high net worth investors. Some of them I knew their kids, I knew their grandkids almost by the time we got to an exit. And the problem for YASA was we couldn't scale beyond that. We'd got term sheet for 150 million to put a production facility in the UK to manufacture motors, but the early stage investors just wanted their money out. So we ended up having to, from my perspective, sadly sell the business to Mercedes. Everybody made a load of money. They were all very happy. But I felt the technology had a lot more to go in it. And so we spun out Evolito, which owns all the rights to YASA's technology in the aerospace business. Since then, we've been on a journey over the last 3 years developing our technology. We've now got it flying in the air. It's a lighter motor, by the way. It's 40% lighter than the best YASA motor in a Ferrari, just to let you know. Two really good investors that have come in on that, and we've just won our first production contract, actually. And the market opportunity for us started out with eVTOLs, flying taxis, lots of money. We raised 30 million from customers paying us to develop technology. We own all the IP. They get no rights to it. And we had opportunities that are in both hybrid helicopters, eVTOL opportunities, cargo drones, and even big commercial aircraft. And whilst it started out in the sort of eVTOL air taxi space, we're now seeing opportunities that are much more credible relating to why you're doing this. Well, it's a safer product or it's saving them operational money. And I kind of like those opportunities that have real financial benefit to them because they're going to be ones that stay the distance and the time. So we build our core motors. We also build the powertronics that goes with that as well. We build it on a single production line, and we've got different scaling of those motors that we can sell. So it all comes through exactly the same process. So we get efficiencies in manufacturing that we can scale to volume, and our power electronics technology can apply across all these opportunities. And we see various different markets now emerging for those over time. The technology, YASA has over 200 patents in the core motor technology. We've added another 27 to those. And we've also actually now developed the power electronics, and we've got about 20 patents in there. Very unique technology. The difference that we offer to customers is we're smaller and we're lighter than any other technology out there and anything that's conventional. And I don't think we've ever lost a deal in automotive or in aerospace on technology. We always win those deals because we've just got very unique and very differentiated technology. When we spun out Evolito, we recognised we knew nothing about aerospace. We actually knew nothing about automotive when we started. We kind of learned how to do it in the supercar space. But then when Mercedes came on, it was just like a completely different language. We had no clue what was going on, or the language they used to actually scale to a couple 100,000 units a year. So when we came into Evolito, we thought, right, we really need to bring in people that understand the aerospace market. Luckily enough, we managed to, our COO came from Collins, which makes electric motors and controllers. Our CTO came from Collins on the same kind of business. So we found people that were doing conventional technology, but exactly in our space and knew how to do it in aerospace. So the management team within Evolito is a blend of those of us who just love being in startups and those of us that actually know what they're doing in aerospace, which is quite a nice blend and combination. So I have to show you this slide because I think we talked about earlier, I think Richard was saying about it's very lumpy on what revenues look like. And indeed, ours has been very lumpy. And you look when you go out with your investment pitch and they say, well, you've got to make that look like a beautiful hockey stick, please. It never works like that. But I'm pleased to say now we've signed 3 production contracts and 50% of our future revenue from this year onwards, and we think we can scale to about 900 million based on customers we see today, is under production contracts with customers, which is the first time I've ever been able to say that in a startup, and it's kind of really, really good. So in the end, just to sort of summarize, why do we think we're going to win in Evolito? I think firstly, we have very unique technology. As I say, in aerospace, we're typically half the weight of anything else. And when you have 8 of these propulsion systems on an aircraft, that adds up to a lot of weight. It can add up to 1 to 1.5 passengers per aircraft that you're saving. So it's payload, or you get longer distance and range. So we have always a good way of winning with those kind of things. And then manufacturing. We've learned a lot through automotive on how to manufacture at scale at low cost. So we bring that DNA across with us from the automotive sector. And one of the parts of the deal we did with Mercedes, we have a cross-licensing deal between the two companies. So we get access to all their production equipment they're using in Berlin to scale to 200,000 motors a year. For manufacturers, for coil winders that we in YASA could never actually get hold of because they'd never talk to us, we were too small. So we have fantastic production equipment already in our factory that we can scale to volume with the kind of quality that Mercedes puts in. And we know how to do that at low cost as well. And then one of the big things that helps us win is that not many aerospace people, companies, tier ones, have ever thought about scaling to volume. They typically make a few hundred, maybe it's 1,000 units a year. We know the market we're in is going to grow to 10, 20,000 a year easily just for us. And we can scale that. We can already do 2,000, 3,000 a year. And so you bring customers around our factory and show that we can scale to volume already. It's a big winning factor when they're thinking about how am I going to buy a lot of motors from if I'm successful with my business, who's going to supply them to me. And then being aerospace certified is really important. We've got what they call a design organization approval. That's the CAA saying anything we design is actually aerospace certifiable. And we've got all the credentials to be able to deliver for customers. So that de-risks for our customers coming along the journey saying, are these guys actually going to get certified products that we can actually sell into customers and into our aircraft? And then again, a highly experienced management team. We've all been here and done it before. We love what we do. Yes, it's challenging fundraising. I think this is my 20th fundraise I've done in 20 years. So you kind of get used to it. It never gets any easier. And yes, the investors never understand what you're doing and why don't they put the money in up front and why do they force me to keep having to go and pitch to them all the time. This is a brilliant business. It's going to be very successful. It's still hard fundraising. I'm glad we didn't start now. I'm glad we started in 2021 because it was an awful lot easier then than it is now. But having an experienced management team helps both on the operational side as well as on the sales side and as well as on the funding side. And then finally, customer commitment. And I think Martin was saying, customers is everything that matters. You need to win real customer contracts. We spent the first 3 years building our technology, doing experimental aircraft. We've now just won 3 big contracts with customers that in 2034, if they do what they say they're going to do, it's 470 million of revenue just in that 1 year. And so, they may not do all of that, but at least they've got, when I counted it up last, they've got 160 millions worth of orders already on the books that if we could deliver and they can deliver the aircraft, those are firm orders on their books. So having that customer endorsement with customers like Electra in the US, Flying Wells, which is a big airship, and we've got another big customer that we'll be announcing in December, is super critical to the business. And I think that's it. So thank you very much. Keep doing my 10 minutes.